Hello! So today's video is on cooked food, and it's kind of answering the question, is cooked food toxic? Is it poison? And as a raw vegan, you probably expect me to be saying, yes, it's completely toxic. But I actually don't necessarily think that. I think it's really important to first understand that not all cooked food is the same. So some cooked foods, for example, things that are fried in oil, or things that have been heated to a ridiculously high temperature and have like burnt charcoal on them. Like for example with potatoes, when they're cooked to a certain high temperature, they start to produce acrylamides and chemicals that are dangerous to our bodies. And when we're consuming things like meat and dairy, which contains hormones and high amounts of heme ions and of animal protein and things like that, I think that these foods are not healthful foods. I think that they do a lot of harm to the body. So in that respect, you could say that those foods could be considered toxins to the body, or at least contain toxins, you know. So I do think that certain cooked foods can be very harmful to our health in the long run. And although they may keep us alive from a survival point of view, I don't think that they help us thrive. I don't think that they help us to feel as good as we can feel, or to help our bodies heal as well as they can heal. It's almost like hurting ourselves in a certain way when we do eat those foods, you know, or when they've got additional chemicals and additives that are harmful to us. Absolutely. I do think those are foods that are not going to help us necessarily on our health journey. Or not going to help us to feel as good or to reach our health goals. But then there are other cooked foods. There are things, the whole food vegan foods. For example, things like steamed vegetables, steamed root vegetables, things like that, which beans and lentils, when they're cooked in their whole food form, or when they're prepared wholly and prepared from scratch and not added with lots of oil and salt and sugar and all these sorts of highly processed foods, when they're kept a lot more in their whole food state and cooked a lot more gently, I think these foods can be very helpful to people. And I do find that a lot of people can have very, very positive health improvements from consuming these foods. It all just depends really on where you are on your health journey, you know, what sort of state your body's in. Because for someone who's been eating, you know, takeaway burgers and chips, they've been eating lots of highly processed, refined carbohydrates like biscuits and pastries, and lots of meat and dairy and things like that. When people have been eating that and they start to eat a more whole food vegan diet, such as homemade soups and stews made from vegetables and lentils, and they're having like things like that, then they're going to find they have health improvements, you know. They're going to find that they might start to feel better. The food is actually helping them. It's helping them get to a healthier state and to reach their health goals. And a lot of people can stop there. A lot of people can do a whole food vegan diet with lots of raw food incorporated and feel really good. And I don't see that food as being toxic. I don't see it as being poison in any way, you know. I do think though that there is another level that you can get to. I really do, and obviously that's why I am raw. But I'm not only raw because I think that you can feel better on a raw food diet. I eat raw because I know I feel better on a raw food diet. So if someone is happy to eat whole food vegan and they feel good, and they're reaching their health goals, then, you know, I think that's where they're at right now. That's what works for them. That's what fits into their lifestyle. That's how they feel good, and they're reaching their health goals. That's, you know, that's all right for them. You know, that's working for them. With me personally, because of my past bulimia, having the heavy cooked foods was not helpful to me. My digestive system is quite damaged from my past eating disorder. So foods that are very easy to digest, such as the juicy fruits and the tender greens, these are really, really key for me. These are extremely key for me. These are so important for me to be kind to myself, and to, like, the starch, when I'm having a high starch meal, oh my goodness, or when I'm having beans and lentils, my body is rejecting them. I feel heavy, I am gassy, I'm bloated, I don't feel well. I don't feel optimal. I don't feel like I can go and do things. For example, even when I was having lots of starch, it just almost builds up in my digestive tract. I don't process it very well at all. So when I've actually switched to a high fruit lifestyle, having lots of juicy fruits and things, my body is singing. It is absolutely singing, and I feel a huge difference between having cooked vegan, whole food cooked vegan, and having whole food raw vegan, juicy high fruits. When I'm having, when I'm having the cooked foods, even what I would consider the healthier option cooked foods, a whole food vegan, I can have quite strong compulsions to purge. So really, the raw food is so key for me it actually switches off that want to get it out of my system, So the raw food is so important to me, so that I feel good, so that I reach my health goals, and so that I feel like I am loving and nurturing myself. Because when I'm eating the heavy cooked food that my body doesn't process very well, I don't feel like I'm loving myself. For someone else, that might be great for where they're at. And I even had a transitional time where I came from a very processed diet to a processed vegan diet to a unprocessed vegan diet, and I went through those phases before I pushed to fully raw. But where I'm at now, there's just I don't like the way that I felt when I was eating the cooked food. I like the way that I feel after a big mango meal. I like the way I feel after I've had a big watermelon, I feel good then. I feel alive. My body sings. My body absolutely sings, and it just doesn't with the cooked food, I do think cooked food a lot of the time can be it's a lot more void from having these enzymes, from having this life force, because it's been killed by the cooking process, basically. So even if someone is having a whole food vegan diet that I would consider the healthier cooked foods, I would still, if I was working with someone, if I was coaching someone, I would still be saying to them to supplement it highly with lots of raw foods, to be having that life force. So, I think someone can be very healthy incorporating whole food vegan cooked foods. But for me, it's absolutely not. And I know for a lot of people it's an absolute no-go, just because of maybe their past eating disorder, or maybe they want to get to a certain level spiritually, or tuning in with their body. I've explained this before in my last day one video, that the actual heaviness of cooked food can suppress emotions. So on an emotional level, cooked food can be quite harmful to if you want to start processing those emotions, because they can suppress them. And it can be very easy to get into a habit of suppressing feelings instead of addressing them. And with raw food, when you're having a light raw food lifestyle, for example, like the fruitarian lifestyle like I lead, then you are not suppressing those emotions the way that you are with the cooked foods, with the heavier foods. So it actually allows you to address them emotionally, and to actually overcome these insecurities and overcome these issues in your life, to help propel you to the next stage, of your healing, to help you get a better relationship with yourself, a better relationship with your family, a better relationship with the world around you. And it can just help, like I said, to propel you into life, into this higher kind of place where you feel more connected to the world, you feel stronger, you feel happier, So in that respect, I find that cooked food, even the healthy cooked food, can be very harmful. It can I found it was holding me back, and I found that it's also, the cooked food is also very stimulating. I find it very stimulating, and it is comforting, but in a way that you don't necessarily want. Like with the whole emotional side of it, you don't want to be comforted constantly by the food. You want to be comforted by yourself, by your own knowledge that you are enough, as opposed to getting this nostalgic comfort from a meal and turning to food for emotional help. We don't want to have these big emotional ties to food, I find. I find it's a lot more empowering to know that you are enough on your own without needing to have these foods to settle us, you know, because emotional eating is obviously a very big problem for gaining weight and all these sorts of things. So when we start to heal on that emotional level and we turn away from having these hot, heavy foods as comfort. So these cooked foods as well can also be extremely highly stimulating as well. So when we've got like just the sensation of eating a hot meal is just very, very stimulating for us. And I know and like I said in the last video, is anyone who's coming from an eating disorder, it can be really helpful to actually be eating very low stimulating foods so that you don't go into a binge mode and so that you don't start over consuming because it's just tasting really good, you know? Like the raw food, I find, even though it tastes really good, it just doesn't have that more feeling that I get from when I'm consuming the heavy cooked foods. So I find it really beneficial in those ways. So just to conclude, do I think that all cooked food is poison? No, I don't. I think that there's different kinds and I think that they need to be addressed separately. I also think that what one person may consider harmful to them is actually going to be like almost a step up or a helpful food to someone else. So it all depends where you are emotionally, spiritually, physically. It depends where you are on your health journey, and it depends if you are doing these two things. So one, are you achieving your health goals? And two, do you feel good? You know, they're the two kind of aspects of it that I kind of like to address with myself. You know, am I achieving my health goals right now with raw food? Yes. Do I feel good? Yes. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. So that's kind of the way that I see it. That's the way that I address it. I don't like to think of food. Not all food is like necessarily good or bad. It depends where you are, it depends what's going on. And yeah, I'm going to leave that video at that today. So I hope you've really enjoyed joining me on this video. Please join me for the next, this is day 2 of my 30 videos before Christmas. I hope that you've enjoyed it and I will see you tomorrow for our next video. Bye!